contracts. Then also, this is the third year in what we call the redemption process of the organic people from the land to reclaim their birthrights and restore the land. Now, we've seen the Pope make a Canadian visit, and he had to be publicly put on notice to his face that his rule is over with, because we operate from a higher standard of law, and no longer can the daughters of the land be compelled to operate under the foreign jurisdiction, because the superior law has been activated. And she put him on notice that the matriarchs across the land has stationed the chiefs. They already put the chiefs on notice to cleanse the land. And what that means is that it is our job to reestablish government, which takes us to Noble Drew Ali immediately. Because one of the things that he say in the oral statements and prophecies, for those who don't understand Noble Drew Ali won't understand what he's talking about. But he said that he would leave these people in power long enough for us, the organic people of the land, to learn how to run government. So when he declared that we was Moorish nationals, there was an agenda attached to it, a legal maneuver to navigate a contract. Now, Ty's been telling us for years how to navigate this contract so we not victimized by it. And he's been reiterating the same thing. These people is a de facto corporate entity acting in a legal capacity as if they are the de jure or the rightful owners and lawmakers of the land. They are not. So who are these people? Where the hell did they come from? Right? And who do they represent? So when I trace back, another thing Noble Drew Ali said is, I need for you to get a good Moorish education. Moorish education is not restricted to Moorish science doctrine, nor the dogmas attached. The doctrine of Moorish science traces all the way back to Rome. And we understood that, and we've seen different things transpire over the course of time, but most of us don't watch what we call the long game, right? So we in a 6,000 year lunar cycle of the 4 cycles in the age, right? So it's a 24,000 year galactic clock, and it is the 2 lunar cycles, moon cycles, and there's 2 sun cycles, and they each separate one from the other. They alternate like fan blades. Now, the reference in understanding the time is Charles Mosley Bay's Clock of Destiny. Because if you don't understand the Clock of Destiny, then it doesn't make sense, the alignments of the stellar arrangements, nor their effect on Earth. So then that takes us to the metaphysics of Moorish science, which takes us to C. Freeman Eel, who thoroughly broke down the Masonic secrets behind Moorish science and the Moorish science that was withheld in the Masonic secrets, right? So along comes Hakeem Bey to explain to us the tribal connection between the ones we call the righteous Moors, which will by default expose the ones that we call the dirty Moors. We call them dirty Moors because they pretend to be with us, but their allegiance is to some other entity not from Earth. In that allegiance, they have sworn war against us until the close of the age, what they call the end of time. The end of time is the close of the age. This is now. We going into the Aquarian age of knowing. That means that the secrets now have to be exposed to the public in a fashion that the public can assimilate who it is doing the dirt, where they at, and how to get rid of the motherfuckers. So they came in as Spanish conquistadors with Christopher Columbus, but they preceded him and they sent scout ships over here 100 years prior to Columbus. References, they came before Columbus, edited by Ivan Van Sertima. So once they got over here, the elders who left the tradition in the South America specifically, said, we didn't see any ships. Now that's blatantly sticks out to me as an open secret because we were a seafaring people who sent Algonquins to fight in the Iberian Peninsula against these same motherfuckers and aided them in ridding the land of these same rogue elements that was using adrenochrome, bloodletting rituals from Babylonian blood magic. They was using Babylonian money magic, and they were using Babylonian sex magic as the tools of conquest in order to subjugate a people. They turned the boys into effeminates, metrosexuals, in order to make them not resistant to the rule of a foreign entity, and they not as apt to protect the women if they are not divine masculine, right? So now in comes the Masonic Lodge under Prince Hall, the Blue Lodge on the father line. We understand what Prince Hall and Absalom Jones was doing when they were digging up the Masonic secrets as a apprentice under a under a York Rite Masonic Lodge, who wouldn't give him a charter. So he went to England and got a charter from the Scottish Rite in order to institute his knowledge of the York Rite over here. So he had to go to the other lodge, what they call the Great Grand Lodge in England, and get the charter, right? Well, that was not a charter from us. It wasn't until Malachi York went to Cairo, Egypt, to the original adepts to recover the Masonic charter from Cairo directly, which bypassed all European organizations that was infiltrating. In the process of doing this, he uncovered a sacred record that he called the Sacred Record of the United Nuwabian Nation of Moors. And in there, he goes into lectures in the ancient mystic order of Melchizedek, in the ancient Egyptian order, and in the Sufi order of the Green Light, as to explaining that these people came over here to usurp us, to undermine us, and to replace us. They gave us the Bible because the Bible is their contract, but it's a spiritual contract in a conjure book and a grimoire, and it's also a riddle. So you have to decode the Bible in order to unlock the code of the Christ secret. So we talking 33 BC, 33 AD is the time frame. It's a 66-year time frame to find 122 degrees on Mount Calvary in order to get to the exact date in September in which the so-called crucifixion supposed to took place, as opposed to what we call Easter, which is the ceremonial worship of the mother as Ashtar or Ishtar, the great mother, who is the guardian of children, right? So then the rabbit being the patriarchal symbol of a virile male, right? So the rabbit was a man the whole time. And the rabbit had the gun, but he ain't know what to do with it, right? So he got sacked by the wolf. So the wolf caught the rabbit, took the gun, and then the hawk had to come recover the rabbit from the wolf. These are metaphors in the Masonic Lodge. The wolf is called She-Ra. She was the one who nursed Romulus and Remus, and these are the founding fathers of Rome. Whereas Remus, the one became Rome, was the warrior, and Romulus, who became the conscience or the intelligence, became the scholar, which tells us in this land that they came over and they used scholastics, right, and warfare in order to subjugate us, which takes us to the Gullah Wars that they call Seminole Wars. Now, you know who's dictating what took place in the wars by what they call the war. So when we call them Gullah Wars, we know that all of the tribes from as far away as the Polynesian Islands, south, west, as far north as Alaska and the Eskimos, the Inuits, all sent soldiers, warriors to fight in Florida in what we call the Gullah Wars. This is how the French, right, under Adam Weishaupt, using the Louisiana Purchase, and they were able to then do a survey on the land, what they call Lewis and Clark's expedition. As they surveyed the land, they found all our castles empty and said, there's no royalty here. This land is abandoned. But they don't know our culture like we do, because if my soldiers is going to war, I'm standing in the army with them. I'm not sending a motherfucker to fight in anything that I'm not willing to fight in myself. Right? So once these wars begin to take place, Lewis and Clark declared the land empty because they went as far west as Washington State. Right? And the translator we know as a blackamoor by the name of Ben Bay. Ben Bay is Benjamin Banneker. Benjamin Banneker is credited with the design of Washington, D.C., which is massive sigils that's used for conjure purpose, and we call that the city of D.C. Right? So once they established that, they moved our capital, because our capital was originally Philadelphia. Right? Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love, but it's also the Delphi oracles was central there. So they telling us that the oracles of Delphi was from Greece. That's because Greece was a Hellenistic culture under Helen as a woman. But Rome was a Hellenistic culture, but they turned Helen into a man. This is what they call beheading the god, or when they take Medusa's head. Right? So taking Medusa's head is them switching the gods out. That's an Anunnaki war tactic. So they use changing of the names. So when Enki named his son Seth, then Enlil named his son Sethian. Right? Just so he can say that they're different people, and he can try to switch places with him in retrospect. Right? So from there, we get into the 1900s, and we get into us trying to restore our people, and we got all of these other people that's fighting for power to never let us know who he is, and that's what they call the Masonic secret. So I'm gonna stop right there for questions.
Well, first of all, I know I started the live a little bit off center, but I appreciate everybody still keeping up with us, because I'm learning how to use StreamYard. However, I missed the introduction on the live, so I'm Sunny L, Sunny Moon L, Mother Tweety here, and for the record, we're not coming in as the adepts. And again, this is the adepts chamber, so the people that can join us and make sure that we're on point are the adepts, just to make that clear. But I do want to just make that public for the record, on the record. And other than that, yes, we're on with you. My thing was, as far as the conquistadors, we know who they were before. Who are the conquistadors now, and what do these organizations like? Is it the Greek letter organization? Is it Divine Nine? Like, who are these? Are they the Imposter Wars, the Dirty Wars?
Okay, now let me answer that. So, where are these people now? They look like us. They masquerade as our leadership in the community, but they always working against us. They've infiltrated every secret society, every alphabet organization. They stronghold paramilitary organization is known as the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, but everybody think that's a pale-skinned organization. Look at the symbols, right? When you look at the symbols, their symbol is the black fist. That doesn't make sense. Okay, they are working as the paramilitary branch. They're the same ones you'll find in all of the celebrities' FBI files, issuing death threats and extortion plots in order to take the wealth from our celebrities. So you find them in Tupac file, Biggie file, you find them in Michael Jackson file, you find them in Prince file, you find them in some of the non-melanated celebrities like what's my man name? Robin Williams, who they said committed suicide, but that was a flat out murder. Um, they call them star whackers in Hollywood. This is in the protection from them in Hollywood before the Nation of Islam got out there was a group that we call Scientologists. The Scientologists was diffusing the situation because they couldn't get to the wealth of the actors because of the structure of Scientology. So that's why all of the celebrities start running the L. Ron Hubbard Scientology, right? So when we started to become instrumental in movies and music in the Hollywood, then the Nation of Islam's FOI have to come in because they're the only ones who know how to defend us from this enemy. They were trained.
Scientology too?
The what?
Haven't they joined Scientology as well?
Well, that's a military strategy.
Okay.
So you got the people that's protecting the Europeans in Hollywood, Scientologists, bump into these dudes that's protecting us in Hollywood called FOI. They both performing the same function for two different groups against the same enemy. The art of war say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So it's only natural that they have to end up creating some kind of alliance because they still fighting the dirty Moors. That's why L. Ron Hubbard moved onto a boat so he wouldn't be under their jurisdiction on the land because they flipped the land jurisdiction to the water. They don't have any jurisdiction on the land. They flipped the water jurisdiction on the land. That's called admiralty law. The admiralty and maritime law is codified and controlled by the Uniform Commercial Code. The Uniform Commercial Code is what they call the International Law of Nations. The International Law of Nations governs international corporate jurisdictional law. So when you become a national, you become a straw man in your nation. As a straw man, you are a dead entity, a legal fiction. You don't really exist. So therefore, whatever they do to you is only a fiction and they can't suffer a consequence. It's not true. They doing this to you because you allowing them to do it to you because you don't know what they doing. That's an adhesion contract that they have you under that you don't know you signing. When they say nationality is the order of the day, it expired July the 4th, 2019. Because using the nationality system under Noble Drew Ali's original format, you was able to navigate and live your life without ever being affected by these people being on the land. But when we start fighting to be part of their system, we abandon our system. We abandon Elijah Muhammad. We abandon Noble Drew Ali. We abandoned Marcus Garvey. We abandoned Booker T. Washington. We abandoned W.E.B. Du Bois. How are we going to get out of this condition? Right? So what we end up doing was all of the chiefs just put their part in the public domain until one of us can figure out how to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together so that we can exile the imposters. In New Jersey, they are known as the Moorish Zionist Jews. And they are called blackamoors by the Moorish title. They look like us, but they not us. If you look up the picture of Noble Drew Ali in Chicago in front of the temple, then you look up the picture of them in front of their temple, they are mimicking, but they're giving signs in the pictures. But nobody knows how to read the signs because everybody is caught in the dogma that they can't get to the science part. This is why C. Freeman Eels information is critical to the understanding of more science because he teach you how to read the symbols. And you go back to the Q drop and it said, what's going to be their undoing? The symbols. The symbols is going to expose them, right? Which takes us to the flag, Well, the flag that they flying in the Moorish Science Temple today with the 5-point star has been a Moorish Science Temple flag longer than it's been a Moroccan state flag. Make that shit make sense. They copying Moorish science and Noble Jew Ali in order to perpetuate their dogmatic pursuits and oppression. We not buying it. We done with it, and it don't work no more. So the women's consulate of Moors have been keeping the secret among themselves as to how Noble Jew Ali got infiltrated. Because don't nobody want to tell the story about the muftis. The muftis that gave him up to Rome, as they call it. Of course they did. They was fucking Romans. They was Etruscan Moors. Before they was called Moors, when they went into Europe after they got kicked out of Africa, they was called Etruscans. When they invaded from in the Iberian Peninsula of Europe, when they came in from the southeast, they came in as the Byzantine kings of the Ottoman Empire. This is where we get the term Els, Bays, and Days in the Moorish Science Temple, because you tagging the motherfuckers doing the dirt. Right? So now we get to George Washington and the 200-year challenge in order to develop a ceasefire. The ceasefire was a settlement that was written up as the Paris Accord. We know it today as the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. It wasn't even signed on this land, so therefore any enforcement on this land is in a direct contradiction to the law of the land, which goes back to the native woman who put the Pope on notice, and she had to tell him that the chiefs are now active on the land and that these motherfuckers is running out of time. They got to go, right? And all of the time they've been telling us that white supremacy was about your skin color. It was about being a free white person in law. When you look it up in Black Law Dictionary under free white person in law, clear as day it say Moors. Clear as day. So the whole thing was a chess game between adepts. The ones who were here were on defense, so they take up the banner or the moniker of black.
Question. So what do you think of us? Because we call ourselves American Indians.
Indian is not our term. It's the same as the Moor. They thrusted names on us, like I explained to the sister about Seminole. When we say they talking about Seminole Wars, they telling it from the Europeans' perspective, from the conquistadors, the French and the English that we fought. But when you say Gullah Wars, you telling it from our people's history, perspective, and angle, and we don't tell the same story exactly the same. Their story is that we was runaway slaves and we congregated with the natives and made the strong fighting force in Florida. Our position in the Gullah Wars is we ain't slaves, we ain't finna be your slave, and we'll fight your motherfucking ass until the end of the earth. So this is the difference in how the stories is being told between our elders and the people that came. The people that came want to hold on to the narrative and make us assume the position as a national free white person in law, because that's the big eye concept of the Etruscan doctrine.
Okay.
We don't believe in that.
So, but we go by nations. So does it still say we're not who we are when we say that we Blackfoot, Wisaponi, Catawba, Choctaw?
When you use those tribal designations like that, Choctaw, the Doomdamounja, Washita, Cherokee. Cherokee is also a term that they trust us.
Kitawa.
Right? It's not the original name. The dang Cherokee was specifically created. Dollars, it's at least $1 trillion hole going to be in the global economy.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's a big hole. It's going to cause banks to start folding up. I was listening to Charlie Ward the other day. He was saying that his wife couldn't even get money out the bank because the banks are no longer liquid. There's no fluidity in the currency. That means they don't have cash or money to give you on reserve. Their reserves is depleted. So we're looking at all of this is cumulative, right? So all of that from him calling in the money to like 10, 12 days later, they announced Queen Elizabeth is dead, and all of these things is like, cause she been gone, right? Though they just now announced it on I think it was the 9th, right? So the effect is when the Vatican get done calling in all of their assets, none of the global economies is going to be able to stand, because the Vatican is who issued letters patent to charter each one of these legal fictions that we call governments.
Right.
They are the holders of the deed or the title to all of those. And that's the money they calling in.
Isn't that the same thing as saying like the Vatican pretty much control world governments?
They do. It's a collaboration, right? The collaboration is 3 city-states. It's always been 3 city-states. They just moved 2 of the cities, well, really 1 of the cities, from the military strength. So now the 3 city-states is the Vatican City, London, and DC. Now DC is closed, right? So if you go to the maps, Google Maps, or go to your map on iPhone and put in White House 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, it's going to tell you that it's permanently closed, right?
Okay.
That all of that's because this shit is over with. We right now trying to get the grassroots aware of what the elites are doing, so they not caught so off guard. And then you have idiots that think we crazy because we telling them what to look for and what we seeing.
So, with that being said, what is it? First of all, can you explain a little more in depth as far as like the specifics of how we're actually going to be affected by all this?
We can't say that because this has never happened before. There's no frame of reference. There's no frame of reference to say what it's going to look like. You can just only identify the building falling. You can't identify the crash site after the math, in the aftermath of the falling building. This is over with right now. We definitely going to have an economic drought for at least 60 days. People are going to be, a lot of the energy companies, like people scared to stop paying their bills because they don't want to interrupt their electric and their gas. It's coming. Your lights gonna get turned off. Your gas gonna get turned off. Maybe even your water gonna get turned off. If you don't know how to survive off the fat of the land, you might not make it through them 60 days. It's gonna be a lot of elderly people that's gonna be put to rest because they own oxygen machines, ventilators, and all that shit. They don't have electricity. If they at home, you need a backup generator. If you don't got one, you ain't gonna make it.
Right, because my mother is on oxygen. Actually, the house that I stay in now, my mother actually left it to me and moved back up north to Maryland with my sister because, pretty much with her health, my sister is a nurse. She can better care for her. But yeah, my mother's on oxygen. So in other words, you're saying that we really don't know what to expect and how detrimental that this banking catastrophe can actually have an effect on us.
No, there's no frame of reference. It's gonna get bad, but it's only gonna be bad for a limited amount of time.
And why is that?
Because all of their systems is collapsing.
Right,
the government is the government that they run in the pantomime show, as Charlie Ward called it. It's just a stage show. They got like 14 Joe Bidens. I can't even count all of the motherfuckers I didn't see.
Bro said you can't even count all these motherfuckers. Okay,
right.
So should we keep our money in the banks? Should we take?
If I was you, I already took mine out. I would convert as much of my money into what they call precious metals as possible.
Like we were speaking about the other night, gold and silver.
Right, because the new economy is going to be predicated upon a substance-backed utility. It's not going to be a fiat.
Which is what we're in now. Funny money.
Right.
Basically, funny money.
Yeah, monopoly money.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, a person that has $250,000 in the bank. What you suggest is that they go get $250,000 worth of gold.
Gold and silver, yeah.
Or silver. And is this going to be a means that we'll be able to still trade with the stores or companies that can remain open if there's a such thing as, because it almost seems like everybody's going down, even the companies. So there'll be no bartering and trading. You just have to sort of hold it until everything goes back to normal.
Well, it ain't. Well, they consider normal ain't finna come back, but we're gonna have a new normal. The new normal is gonna be more prosperous than the old normal. But in order to get to that, we gonna have to go. You can't have a baby without labor.
Right.
Right. It's just not gonna happen. This new world that's coming up is not gonna appear until the old world is destroyed. It's just like we already lived yesterday. We can't go back and relive that motherfucker. We done with it. We moving into the future.
Basically.
And the closest thing you can do to reliving yesterday is mirror it in the future. That's it. That's the closest you can get.
So, a lot of people are afraid of all of this that's coming because I think that they're not really cognizant as to the effects. And like you said, there's really no rhyme and reason or no script or nothing that we can actually measure it to. From your personal perspective, what would you suggest people do living wise? Because I mean, people can't live.
You froze.
Without electricity. People either.
Look, they gonna have to figure it out. You're gonna have to learn how to live off the fat of the land because they're not paying people like me any attention. They writing us off as crazy until they caught in the condition, in the position that they can't defend themselves. They gonna be at the mercy of nature.
You sure know what to say because it's like the more you try to prep them in advance, again they start saying that we crazy is wrong with us. But as soon as they get their ass in the actual problem, then now they running and looking for us for help.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be able to be reached because while that shit going on, listen,
I ain't gonna be able to be reached.
Look, while that shit going on, I'm gonna be taking my hiatus. I'm gonna be gone for 6 months. Right? I'm gonna be. I already don't like doing social media. I never liked social media ever. The only reason I'm on here is because it gives me the furthest reach to the grassroots. And they have to be made. The information got to be made available to them. They don't got to believe me. All they got to do is just keep ignoring me and just watch. I'm gonna be straight, but if some of them ain't gonna make it, like I told you, they turning off the lights. That's the signal, right? They shutting down the electric grid. The excuse they're gonna use is a solar flare, but it's really gonna be them turning that shit off in real time. They trying to turn it off before the solar flare hit. The one that they looking for ain't hit yet. If they don't turn it off, it's going to fry all of the systems, and then it's going to be months before they get infrastructure in the electromagnetic grid back up.
So can you explain the flares for the people that really don't know what that is and how it affects?
Right. So the sun have explosions on it. These explosions release massive amounts of electromagnetic energy, UVAs, UVBs into the earth. And when it get here, it has an effect on your melanin. It has an effect on your central nervous system, but it also affects our electrical system of the planet.
That's correct.
So when the system, the way it's set up now, if they don't turn it off when the major flare that they waiting on, they gonna have 6 minutes to shut it off from the time they find out that massive explosion occurred on the sun before them rays hit the earth. They're gonna have about 6 to 9 minutes. Once that happens, they just gonna shut it off. They're not gonna ask nobody for permission. And they have to do it because if they don't, it's going to overburden the wiring and fry wires everywhere. They're not going to be able to reboot the system. But they're not going to know until that explosion happens, because it's been happening in smaller, small explosions. This shit is natural with the sun. What's not going to be natural is them shutting the electric off. That's going to be man-made.
Right.
Now, in the process, they was the Bush Clan, the garden plot to eliminate us was to use EMP and fry the system so we can't turn it off and preserve it. It has to be turned off, but they're not going to even be able to tell you in time enough for you to make any contingency when that flare comes. They already turned off the Schumann resonance recorder about a week ago. The reason they did that is because that's telling you that the constant increase in the vibration, the grid is about to flip. When the electromagnetic grid flip, it's going to be time to that explosion on the sun. They know it's going to happen. It happened before. It happened in a similar manner every so often. And they can time it based off the position of the stars.
Right.
Because they all work hand in hand. So where the earth is in relation to the sun, where the sun is in relation to Orion, Sirius, Pleiades, and Arcturus, tells them when it's coming. They can use the star map and time it damn near to the minute. They can't get it to the second, but they can get it to the minute. They know, they just not telling us.
Right. So, in other words, basically people are going to actually be under certain types of conditions based on them not knowing, and basically listening to the brothers and sisters that's out here disseminating this information to put them in the know. And it's going to cause them to be pretty much on some last minute preparation shit. Like, y'all could have had all this time to prepare if y'all would have listened, but now it's too late pretty much.
This is why everybody keeps saying the purge is coming. You imagine when all these people, they gonna raid the grocery stores, that's coming. When they realize that everything is down and they don't know when it's coming back up, they just gonna panic. And in the panic, the first thing they're gonna do is raid the grocery stores.
Right.
When you see the people raiding the grocery stores, you already know right then that the shit, because it's not gonna be on no TV or news. It's not going to be on the radio. All that shit going to be turned off.
Right.
And that's what's going to make people panic, because they're not going to have any information source to tell them what the fuck is this going on. So they're not.
Is crazy.
Yeah. So they're not going to be ready. And we all know proper preparation prevents poor performance, and all of them is improperly prepared to perform properly. Right. So they creating the condition that they're going to see when this shit happen by their level of understanding of the condition as a whole.
Wow. So that's going to be big. Time wise, how long do you think that it's going to be before all of this stuff comes to a full head?
It could be any minute. Truthfully speaking, it's imminent, and imminent means that it can happen at any minute without nobody knowing. But they gave us a couple of signs. The Queen Elizabeth burial or funeral is Monday.
Okay.
Right? Look at the number on that date. Okay. Then the Pope gave them to the end of September, because the fiscal year ends in October. So they had to the end of September to get everything in before the end of the fiscal year. The fiscal year is when you calculate, or the closing of the fiscal year is when you add up all of your wealth before you do anything with it. It's a corporate practice.
Right.
Right. So the annual year may end in December, but the fiscal year ends in October.
Okay.
Right. So the Pope has to have everything in enough time for it to be counted for the fiscal year. Right? The fiscal year is closing. They've been working per diem in the United States. Right? The country has been artificially floating per diem, I mean by the day, based on the contracts people been under. Now we at critical mass. It's enough people that left their jobs, took their children out of this motherfucking slave trading system they call a school. And now everything is starting to come to a head. Because the lizard bitch been dead since like 2018. And you know the day that she died because the crest fell off the gates of Buckingham Palace. That wasn't an accident, that was a sign. If you look at Prince Charles, King Charles, whatever the fuck he want to call himself tomorrow, but if you look at him at the funeral, how disheveled he looked, that's the cow toe ritual of Masonic Lodge.
Okay.
Right. His tie is the cable tie, the cow tie. And then he got his dish shot. Only thing he didn't do is have his pants leg up. That's it.
So what was the point of delaying putting people in the know that Queen Elizabeth had died?
Wait a minute, ask that question again.
What was the point of delaying putting out the information that the Queen Elizabeth had died?
Because it's critical things that follow that. First of all, it's a signal for a power change. Chess. What happened to me and you playing chess and I take your queen?
Shit, I'm vulnerable.
Vulnerable, and the odds is you're not going to win that game.
Right.
It's almost over. Well, the queen in real life is the king on the chessboard. Well, what happened when I take your king on the chessboard?
I still have a chance with my queen because I can move all over the board.
Right, but when I take your king, what's the
Oh, when you take my king, that's checkmate.
Checkmate. That's what it means. Checkmate. And the checkmate, now they have to close the game. If you in Vegas and you at the crap table, you hear the owner of the or the manager of the casino say, everybody that's cashing out, report to the cash out center, all games are closed. What would that mean economically for that casino? That mean they finna count up their money.
Right.
Pay who they gonna pay, close up shop. Casinos run 24 hours. So if the casinos is running 24 hours and the guy that's running the casino say cash out, well, you want to hold on to your poker chips or you want to cash them in? Because once they cashed in, or if you don't cash them in the allotted time, you won't be able to cash them in.
Right.
Right. So this is what we're looking at. The game is over.
So have they already appointed who's going to take her position?
It's not announced, but none of them. It's our time to shine. Now, this is our world. The new world is ours.
Oh, yeah. So
the white man world over with.
You said, say that again?
The white man's world is over with.
So I was speaking with Brother Love about, the alchemy of the letters and the language. I'm the language teacher for everybody, pretty much. And Brother Love is my mentor. So he kind of sort of, try to guide me right as far as like, how to actually, presentation basically. So my question is, what does us learning our language have to do, if it does any, with us actually being in the new world and projecting ourselves in the new world to thrive in that new world?
Okay, so in the new world, everything is frequency. It's vibration and frequency. The linguistics is directly tied to the vibration and frequency of the electromagnetic grid. NEGPIFOR was designed for a specific reason. Dr. York could tell us why he put it out. I think it's in the introduction text to the language of why he came out with the NEGPIFOR. Because we finished All of the organic people to the so-called Americas is going to be enrolled in NEGPIFOR. So you one of the ones who's going to have to be the teacher of teachers in order to raise the vibration. It's about tones and sounds.
Okay. So you say the new world is about frequency. And will NEGPIFOR be a language in your mind that will replace the law of vibrational frequencies that are being put out there?
Absolutely. We're gonna be going to NEGPIFOR class for all of the organics. Anybody that want to learn NEGPIFOR is going to be welcome to learn it, because English is going to be in the future what Latin is now.
Right.
Right. So the only place you find Latin is in legalese and medical reads.
Or if you're doing some old recitation of some Christian.
Was listening to Chief Warhorse, she break that shit all the way down. You just don't know who is who in the picture until we point them out to you, because we didn't know they brought motherfuckers to masquerade as us over here to pretend to be us, right? You know the ones that took sides with us because they tell you that we the original motherfuckers that was on the land and they riding with us. And then the other ones that say stuff like, I wish these black people stop telling everybody they Indians. Them the motherfuckers that's the enemy. They tell you flat out. So you only got two group of these $5 motherfuckers, right? So these $5 motherfuckers come over here. They can sit their ass down because Big Rod gonna make change out that ass, right? And we gonna change that $5 ass to a 5-cent motherfucker, right? So when they came over here, they brought, you got to go back to who the Etruscan Moors was fighting as Romans. The Roman wars was with Huns, Mongols, and Vedics. They went into India and got the scroll of government, or the scroll of caste. The caste sutra is what it's called. And it's the scroll of government. The definitive ruler of the earth carries the scroll of government. And there's several parts of it, and the collection of the scrolls together is called the scrolls of destiny. If you can secure the scroll of government until the close of the age, you hold the government. This is how these motherfuckers get 6,000 years to rule, right? But it took them a sizable portion to find the scroll. They found the scroll with Alexander. Go look at the story of the birth of Alexander, and they talk about he was born from God. That's Enlil's son. I'm telling you, motherfuckers, the story ain't no secret. As Enlil's son was Alexander, the so-called great. I call him the great because that motherfucker wasn't nothing but a motherfucking fodder for wine with his homeotestical self, right? He probably sucked more penis than a prostitute on 47th Street during the crack era, you know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And these motherfuckers can't trick you when you know who you is, because they don't vibrate on your frequency. Then they tell on themselves, right? The shit you say out your mouth is called the truth. Irritates their spinal column to the point where they have to act out. They got to say something. They can't just mind their goddamn business, sit their bitch asses down and get somewhere and be quiet until the storm blows.